Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm coming to you live from Schaumburg, Illinois this morning, where I'm working for the next couple of days. And it looks to be bright and sunny where you are with a yellow wall in the back.
It is. It's more than just a yellow wall. It is actually bright and sunny. So that part's nice. And I'm still just outside of Detroit. So we got an exciting show today, right? We're going to talk about kind of, to me, the fundamental of all business is relationships.
Yes.
And we're going to share the ways to get known, liked, and trusted faster. So
how do you do that fast?
That's a real good topic.
I think it's a great topic because, you know, it's being known, liked, and trusted. Sorry, that's those are the. You can't make sales without that. You can't build relationships without that. If you can't make connections and build relationships, you can't make sales. But anybody out there who's got a friend has proven that they can be known, liked, and trusted. And I don't mean Facebook friends. I don't mean LinkedIn followers, Twitter, LinkedIn connections, whatever. What I mean is you actually got someone to sit down and talk to you and agree to do it again. You've proven you can do it. And I bring that up a lot with the people that I work with. But how do you do that faster, Terry?
Well, you know what? There's a handful of different ways, and we're going to try and cover all of them today. But to me, number one is you have to not only be but stay in integrity. You know, and
Yes.
You and I were sharing notes back and forth yesterday a little bit about this show, and I shared the DWYS YWD, and I'm doing this off ahead. It would have been easier just to read the dang thing.
You could have done that.
DWYS YWD.
I read that email and I'm like, is this an acronym for something, or did Terry just have a stroke? What is going on here?
I shouldn't press keys like that, is what it means.
I was like, do what you say. And do what you say when you say you're going to do it. Yes.
Yeah. Right. So
yeah,
at the foundation, right, at the base level of integrity is to do what you said you were going to do. And it doesn't matter if you're making commitments around the house. I love that coffee mug that says when your husband says he's going to do something, there's no need to remind him about it every 6 months.
Right.
Sometimes that's me. But I really think that the idea of actually completing helps us stay in integrity. It shows that we take our words seriously and we take the fact that we're going to put it out there seriously. And one thing I think a lot of people need to start doing more of is saying no to things.
Yeah.
Because the best way to do what you said we're going to do is to not keep saying yes to all these different things, because those things get in the way.
Oh, I was just going to say that same thing. I mean, if you adopt that thought process, then you'll be a lot more careful about the things you say you're going to do, right? I mean, and it's volunteering for a lot of projects, and really getting in deeper to some things that you may not really need to. And we've talked about this before. What's your focus, right? And are you even getting involved with projects that will help you achieve your ultimate goal, or are you just a nice guy? And, oh, yeah, I can help. Oh, that's such a good cause. Oh, this. How many requests for charitable donations do we all get on a weekly basis, right? And I want to help them all. And I can't, and it's not, and it's one of those things where you could get talked into it easily. I don't need it to be justified to me why this is a good cause, but they're all good causes. So what am I supposed to do? Right. And there's other projects and things like that. But, I don't want to stray too far away from our topic, but the focus of understanding what you need to be doing is then going to help you understand what you need to get involved with, which will ultimately then help you do what you say when you say you're going to do it, and do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, or however how many letters you stroked out on me last night on your keyboard. So that's I think that's an important part that needs to be talked about before we go any further, is understand what it is you're volunteering for.
Well, and I think to your point, right? It's got to align with where we're going, right? Because there's all kinds of distractions and opportunities and things that we can do to serve other people and help other people. But ultimately, if it doesn't line up with our trajectory, right? Because we got to keep moving in this direction to actually get to where we want to go. Even though we're going to end up doing this, and we know that because that's really what it looks like, but we've got to keep moving toward it. And I think a big part of that, and I think this is where most people miss it, is a lot of people seem to go through their life by rote, meaning that there's a script, they know what the script is, they were going to go to school, they were going to get good grades, they were going to go to college, they were going to get good grades, they were going to get a good job, they were going to get married, they were going to have kids. Those kids were going to go to school, have good grades, go to college, right? You know, and so it's just like life is just kind of handed to us and we just like follow along. Well, when you take the time to really understand who you are and what you were meant to do and how you're supposed to serve this world, right, then it comes from inside and you get an opportunity to now hour. And when you can now hour is really some of the most important stuff ever. You want to explain that?
Well, why don't you type it out and I'll explain that.
Okay.
No. I'm gonna type it out and you can explain it because you tell the story better than I do, and you just typed it out. But to that, before you tell that story, while you get it teed up, it's funny that you bring that up. That I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna get good grades, all this other stuff. And I told my mom a couple of weeks ago. I said, I don't think I'm ever retiring, and I don't think my kids are going to college. She says, well, what is going on? I said, well, I hope I never stop doing what I'm doing. And I don't think I'm ever going to retire because I love doing what I'm doing. And my kids are young enough to where I think they may not actually need to go to college by the time they get to that age. Because, I mean, now, look, if they want to be attorneys or physicians or whatever it is, then yeah, higher education is absolutely necessary. But my kids are crazy talented. And if they choose to do something along those lines, I know a lot of people never went to school because they were already perfectly suited for what they wanted to do. And crazy enough to go do it instead of wasting time that wouldn't serve them. College served me. I worked in a trade, right? I mean, but so I'm not knocking college. I just think there's so many more opportunities for people to just do what they're inherently good at and make a great living doing that than to spend those 4 years, 5 years, 7 years doing that. So what's now our? Terry?
So now our actually was my license plate for a long time, NOWHOUR. And we used to do this thing when I was presenting. I had a picture of my license plate, and I'd say, hey, for $500 in control of the board, who can tell me what this says? Right? And people would be like, now our. Somebody yelled out, no whore. I'm like, dude, that's great advice, but that's not what it is. And really, I don't think anybody ever got it. And at one point, I took a Sharpie out to my plate, and I put 4 dots because now our actually represents 4 different words. And one time I was describing this story in front of a group of 50 people at a lunch meeting, and you, of all people, shout out, it's know who you are. And I'm like, yeah, but you've seen this deal. And you're like, no, I haven't. And I'm like, yeah, no, yeah. And you hadn't. And that was so cool. So when you know who you are, once you figure that out, you know what you're meant to do. And when you know what you're meant to do, it's really easy to stay on that trajectory, right? And to keep moving toward that path. And as long as you're moving toward that, you can say no to the things that don't align with that. So
absolutely.
Really long way to get to that story.
Well, when you spend as much time behind the wheel of an automobile as I do, you get really good at decoding vanity license plates. Yes. So that's, in the context of the story you were telling, I was like, oh, yeah, there it is. All right. Is anybody else here paying attention? Like, what,
Yeah, nobody, man. And you got quick, dude, as I recall. I was like, what? That's funny. Which explains why I like you. All right.
Hey.
The last thing in terms of integrity that I want to touch on, and this is a word that's almost thrown around way too much now because we're hearing it all the time, but it's important, and it's authenticity. What are you doing in terms of teaching your people how to be more authentic?
Well, what I teach is kind of what I alluded to earlier, right? I mean, people, I can't be in sales, Jeff. I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I'm that kind of person. So, look, have you made a friend? Yeah. You actually got a lady or a gentleman to marry you, right? Yeah. So there are people out there who want to spend a lot of time with you, maybe even procreate with you, right? Well, yeah. What does that have to do with me selling? I said everything, because if you can do it, you can do it again. And not that you want to get married to every single one of your customers, but you've proven that the person you really are, even when you're just by yourself, is attracted to other people. And there are more people out there that will resonate with that kind of personality, that kind of brand, if you will, even before we even get into personal branding. But even that.
Did I freeze? I must have frozen. Am I frozen? Who's frozen? Am I frozen? He did. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. He's frozen. Hi, frozen boy. Oh, he's like a frozen pop. Yeah. Here we go. That's so funny. He'll be back. So, and he was right in the middle of a really cool dissertation about authenticity and how to keep it moving. And I like that piece. So I'm going to cover for it for a minute. What we're realizing now is the deeper you are in your authentic self, the more that attracts the right tribe to you. So if you can actually be who you are, after you know who you are, you get to be who you are, the right people will come to you. And what's really important to remember is not everyone is the right person for you. So we spend so much time trying to please everybody when there are people that just naturally we are not going to be able to please, that are not going to like us, or not going to care about us or feel like us. So it's one of those things where you got to be okay with that, because there are enough people that are going to be attracted to you and want to be a part of who you are and what you're doing and what you're about, that it's cool. Find your tribe. And Seth Godin wrote a great book about this back in probably 2009-ish called Tribes. And so you could take a look at that and learn how to build your tribe. So I just kind of jumped in and covered some more authenticity. You want to pick up where you left off, or is it just going to be too scattered?
You left me and went to Godin, which is not ever been said before. Never have those two been said in the same sentence.
Talking about authenticity, people, building your tribe.
And that's a great book. I'm honored to be mentioned in the same breath as that guy. He's had a lot of influence over me. But from the standpoint of, look, just be who you are. Know who you are, and then be who you are. And don't be a jerk, right?
Oh,
but, I mean, there's no reason. That's the only piece of life coaching advice you need. Don't be a jerk. Understand that, people are going to respond, and often positively, to, who you are. So be relaxed, be natural. Because I'll tell you what's worse than trying to, I don't even know where I want to go with this, but when you try to be fake, when you try to be someone you're not, people can sniff that out. And that's not a foundation for any kind of relationship. And anymore in sales, especially in sales, people want a long-term relationship. They want to continue to do business with you. They don't want this to be shallow, right? So it's best not to, put some sort of false personality or some kind of
frozen boy again, eh? I see how it is. All right. Well, I am going to move forward, because I was just going to try and figure out how to create a little segue to move from the integrity and authenticity piece into the next section. And really, one of the most important things you can do when you're meeting people to start building these relationships, and that's finding common ground. This, right, is what we need to get much better at. The faster you can find common ground with someone, the more likely you are to be able to build a relationship, because ultimately we like people that we perceive are like us. So the closer you are to me and the type of person I am, the more likely I'm going to like you. So I took a left turn. I put my signal on, Jeff.
I'm with you. Nope, I got you. I see you.
Yep. So we're over. We're talking about finding common ground. We just said that, you know, we like the people that we perceive are like us. So I want to move into finding common ground and talking about how to do that. So
how do you, again, I think you find there's a lot of ways you can find common ground now. The oldest and best method of doing that, I think, is asking good questions, asking questions that are going to allow people to elaborate on their responses, asking questions that people want to be asked, right? I mean, you know, don't ask silly questions that you probably know the answer to already. Don't ask questions that are just kind of throwaway questions unless you're setting something else up, right? But you want to find common ground. Ask that person about themselves. Ask that person, you know, the favorite thing that people like to talk about is themselves. That's just true, right? Even if you're someone who doesn't, I don't like to talk about myself. No. That's false humility. If I gave you something that you were really fired up about, you would tell me all about what you felt about it. Okay. And I'd just go back and get more coffee and hold on, I'm still listening. I can hear you from over here. Right. And when you engage people that way, not only do you find out what they're about, but you give them an opportunity to feel validated and feel listened to and feel important. And that much is very, very important when it comes to relationship building.
So to me, some of the important questions that you can ask is, where did they grow up? Did they go to college? What did they study? You know, what do they major? What do they do for work? Do they have kids? Are they married? Do they play sports? What movies do they like? What books do they read? What music do they listen to? What kind of food do they eat? Any one of those things are jumping off points where you can say, oh my God, I am an Eastern Michigan University graduate who loves Chinese food, reads Dan Brown, and has seen 22 Dave Matthews Band concerts. Boom. We just built a relationship in 45 seconds that's going to be tight because we have so many shared points of interest.
Well, let's take it a step further. Now, if I knew that I was getting together with you and I knew that I was going to meet you for the first time, and you have a long list of several public social media profiles, with a little bit of homework, I can see all of those things before we even get together. And that's what I think is different about today than 5 or 6 years ago, right? I mean, I've got a meeting later today with someone who I've heard a few things about, and I know her name, but that's all I know about her. But then I go on LinkedIn, and we've got 4 or 5 different things in common that we'll be able to just hit the ground running with. And that part of what social media is able to do, which leads a little bit into, kind of teases a little bit, if you can tease something that happened already, that Blab, that podcast that we ran through last week with Janet about status updates and what they say about you. You know, you can use those same status updates to attract other people who have similar interests to you. You use hashtags and stuff that's searchable. And when people are searching for things that you're into, are you putting yourself in place to be found? And you can find that common ground a lot more quickly. And now that 45 seconds turns into 4 seconds. And, you know, not that saving 40 seconds is really, you know, all that much to you know, shake a finger at. But when you think about what you're able to do ahead of those conversations, especially in sales calls, it makes a big difference, because you only get an opportunity to ask 2 or 3 questions, right? And if you say, where did you grow up? Where did I, you know, man, look me up. I made time for you in my schedule for this meeting. Don't waste time asking me questions you already know the answers to. Now, you just meet someone at a networking event, or you meet someone for the first time, you know, at a ball game or whatever. Those questions are perfect. But I think depending on the situation, you've got an opportunity to learn that stuff ahead of time. It's kind of your responsibility.
Yeah, so I teed this up as when you are meeting someone for the first time, not necessarily that you know you're meeting them. But that's a really excellent point. If you know you're meeting them, we got all these research tools available right now. Go check it out, because it's right. It saves time in a sales call. You don't have a ton of time, and you've got to figure out how to direct the call more than worry about that piece. So that's an excellent point. All right, so left turn again, right? Now we're going to move into another area. We talked about asking questions to find common ground, and once you find that common ground, you can leverage it, you can talk more about it, you can build relationships based on those commonalities. Next area of how to build relationships and get known, liked, and trusted faster is through third-party testimonials, specifically and ideally through someone that you both know and they absolutely trust.
Absolutely. So it's someone who's already kind of got that relationship who can say a good thing about you. I can talk about myself all I want. Oh, I'm the greatest. Yeah, sure you are, Jeff. Right? Yeah, I'm the greatest. Just ask me. I mean, we've run into people like that. But having someone else say it kind of proves that what you're saying is true, or at least to somebody else. And that goes for introductions. That goes for removing risk if you're in the selling process. It's a good, solid, someone saying a good thing about you. That is indispensable when it comes to relationship building, especially accelerating the process of that relationship building. I mean, Terry, if I'm looking to do something, right? If I'm looking to meet someone, I've done this actually with you a couple of times. Like, hey, I met this guy. I don't know quite how I feel. What do you think? And then that guy is solid. I don't know what you're seeing, but I've known him for 30 years, and that is a solid guy. If you're on the fence, then I suggest you lean toward jumping over. And some others, you're like, yeah, I got that same feeling. So I'm kind of right where you are, and you can kind of validate people that way. But when you know, like, and trust somebody who they already know, like, and trust, that third party is going to help you bridge that gap faster.
So much faster. My friend Charlie Wahlberg used to say, if I stand here telling you how great I am, it's a sales pitch. Right. But if you stand there telling someone how great I am, and especially if you are their friend, it's the truth.
Right.
It's a great line, totally true. And, we can't sit there and do this anymore, with all these opportunities for testimonials or recommendations or endorsements. What do you do with them? Where do you put them? I mean, we used to have framed letters on the walls in our office, and now, this doesn't look like an office. This looks like my living room.
Right. YouTube, the website, LinkedIn. Am I breaking up again? Of course I'm breaking up again. Am I still with me? Okay. Am I?
No, right. I think you're back.
All right. I think you go to YouTube. I think you go to LinkedIn. You can go to Facebook. You can, what's a Facebook like worth? I don't know, but someone well thought out, writing something well thought out on your LinkedIn profile, someone putting 15 or 20 seconds of video on, because we all carry around video cameras, high definition video cameras with us in our pockets. That gets uploaded to YouTube remarkably easily, stupid easy. Like, I can't believe I didn't start doing it sooner, right? And you can then create a playlist in YouTube that has all of those testimonials right there. And if you have enough testimonials, they can be testimonials that are filed, or playlists that are filed under this category, this category, this category. Now, it's easy to just click a button, say something nice about this person, recommend him. I got recommended for lunch on LinkedIn. Someone, there's a term for it. LinkedIn did it on purpose. You could create something out of thin air to make a recommendation or an endorsement. So I was endorsement bombed by a friend, right? But how easy is it to do that? It's kind of a fun, practical joke, right? But for someone to take 15, 20 seconds, shoot a video of themselves, send it over to me. Hey, Jeff, this is what I thought of you. You could put this up on your LinkedIn or your YouTube page. That's awesome. And it means a whole lot more.
Well, for the rest of us, please, let's go over to Jeff Bajorek's LinkedIn profile and endorse him for lunch. I think that is important. I want that to happen for sure. That's good lunch. I've had lunch with him. It's true.
So Dan
so-
suggests that testimonials can be so fake. I've written most of mine for my customers. Well, I suppose you could use it that way if you wanted to. They can be fake. I think there is, and I think that's the power of video, though, too. Now
whole different ball game then.
I think that you can certainly coach people to ask them what they want to, what you'd like them to say about it, right? I think a lot of different things about Terry, but if we're talking about 15 or 20 seconds, Terry, what do you want me to say? Oh, Jeff, did you handle the issue of trusting me? Or did you think I had enough work out there, right? Or I'm starting a business, so people look at my list of clientele and roster and the length of time I've been in business, and to some people that's a turnoff, right? I think that expertise is worth more than experience, but I need someone to back me up on that. Well, talk about what I talk about, right? Don't just say I'm a nice guy and that I do what I say I'm going to do. That, I think, is assumed, right? So you can coach a testimonial a little bit. I think you should stop short of writing it for them, because when we get back to authenticity, I think that can be sniffed out by anybody watching it. But you can certainly help tell someone who's going to give you a testimonial what you'd like them to give their testimony about.
Well, I think in certain instances there are people that want to endorse you, and Jeff's point, they want to know which area of your expertise they should highlight, so they're asking. I think that part's good. I think there are a lot of people that don't think they have time. And what I found recently is there are people like my wife who are almost embarrassed by their writing skills. So they don't want to put something in public because they're afraid that other people are going to judge it based on how they write. And if you're insecure in that avenue of communication, you're going to be worried about that. I had a friend of mine that I love, and she loves me. And I know in 3 weeks, because she saw me present, and I was like, I need a recommendation. Do you mind? She's like, oh my God, not a problem. Happy to do it. And like 3.5 weeks later, she's so sorry. I just get embarrassed by writing. Mm-hmm. So it takes longer. In video, to your point, Jeff, would have been a heck of a lot easier. I have a section on my website for testimonial, right? So I've peeled off some of the best recommendations that I've received on LinkedIn, or at least the ones that relate most to who I want to be known as. And I've got them on my website. Do you have those on your website?
I do. I've got a section that says, don't just take my word for it. And I've got a combination there of written testimonials intertwined with some, YouTube embedded YouTube videos with people actually like yourself who have put some good stuff out there. And that's where I go with it. So you can find it in multiple ways.
Say that last part and you broke up.
So you can find those. You have multiple ways of finding those testimonials. You can get them from my YouTube page, or you can also get them right directly from my website.
Smart. Yeah. On the list of things that we really should be repurposing, right? We should probably share those testimonials once in a while, because a lot of it's like set it and forget. Okay, they're out, they're done.
True.
Blah.
True.
Over.
Or at least shoot out, share a link to that page on your website, right?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Hey, if you really like me, check out these other people.
I don't mean to pat myself on the back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, you think you like
I'm going to let these people do
absolutely.
it.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. That's what they're for. That's what they're for. So,
all right. We have to, both of us this week, we have to share our respective pages.
Done.
Or maybe we share each other's page. Maybe it seems less douchey that way.
Or even more contrived. Okay.
Exactly. All right. So the last piece that I'm going to cover today, and we're doing it, right? We're giving an actual example of this right now, is the power of live video, right? In terms of known, like, trusted, because here's the deal. I'm going to be like this. If I was in your office in 3 hours, it's a 70% chance I'm wearing this shirt. Right. And it's nice. I'd probably wear shorts depending on what we were going to do.
Right.
But I'm going to speak like I'm speaking. I'm going to look goofy-eyed like I look at you right now. I'm going to have this hair and this beard, and this is me, man. These are my emotions. These are my activities. If I talk, sometimes I use my hands a lot. And so as authentic as I am here, I'm the same guy that's going to walk into your office. I'm the same guy that's going to run a Motor City Connect meeting tomorrow. I'm the same guy that get up on stage at TEDx Detroit. I am consistent throughout.
Right.
In video, I think really does a good job of helping us get to that point.
Well, and it's interesting too, because I've got stuff on my YouTube channel that is more rehearsed, right? Because I think it's there for a reason. It's for creating content and delivering a message consistently. And so I do rehearse it, and I script that, and I record it in a couple of takes, and I make sure I take the one that I like, because I feel like that's there for posterity, right? And for longevity. But at the same time, these live video, these conversations that we have, you go on Facebook Live, I know you do a lot of that. That gives people an opportunity really to see more authenticity and personality rather than the content that you're trying to put out. And so I think both of those formats of video are very, very helpful from that respect. And I like doing the interviews. I like having the conversations. I've recorded some of those conversations to be put on my YouTube page as well, or channel as well, because I like it when, you know, that same content is covered, but in a more free-flowing kind of a format. Because you're right. I mean, look, I dress most days for work, especially when it's hot outside, like I either am going to or coming from a golf course, because I always want to, hey, if something cancels, I got my sticks in the trunk, let's roll, right? I mean, but that's very much, that's me. And, you know, I mean, my whole selling style and relationship style is based on me just being me. And that doesn't change because I'm on video. And I think that translating that kind of an image or that kind of a personality is really, really beneficial and valuable. And how much of that did you actually get?
Absolutely.
Because I feel like
70%.
Because there's I think what's happening here is there's a lot more people down in the business center and in the cafeteria or the at this hotel in the breakfast area, and I think the bandwidth's getting chewed up by more and more people. I think that's where we're headed here.
You're sharing the stream. Nice. Well, you know what though? I think we're good, man. I think we covered everything we wanted to talk about. We hit integrity and authenticity. Oh yeah. We hit finding common ground. We talked in great detail on how to do that. We talked about the power of testimonials, and then finally we got in with live video or video in general, but live video in particular.
Yeah.
Because right now. I'm waiting for you to say something, Matt Cedrum. Are you going to talk?
I'm here. I can kind of see you. So what I'm going to do is, can you hear me again? You still can't hear me.
I can now.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I would agree with all those
things.
Especially, I mean, there's, I wanted to use the scripted video as a comparison for why live video is a little more beneficial for what we're talking about. Because even my wife will watch those videos. She's like, Dad, that's not really you. I mean, it's you. It looks like you. It sounds like stuff that you would say, but it doesn't capture you in the moment. And then she'll watch one of these blabs and she's like, hey, there's my husband, right? I mean, that's a testimonial right there for live video.
Well, and that's just it, right? Because you said it the first time. You said, I'll take 2 or 3 recordings and I'll pick the one that I like best, right? And the one that you like best is the one where you're going to flub less, right? Be on point with what you said, and it's going to remind you of what your intentions were when you created the video. The reality is our whole life isn't always like the third take. Sometimes our life
is like tweet in there somewhere.
This take right now. Yeah, for sure. So, I appreciate what your wife's saying because it's not 100% who you are when it's reviewed, edited, and then done again. Because we don't get that chance.
Nope, you don't.
So, cool.
You don't.
All right. Well, I think this was cool, man. I think this was a good episode. I think we dropped some information that's some value to it. Hopefully, Pierre can come back and check it out in a little bit. Nice to see you. you have a fantastic day.
Yes.
Go train up some people.
I will do what I can. You do the same, Terry. And we'll do this again next week.
Have a good one. Thanks for joining us, people.
Right.
Have a good
Thanks.
day. Bye-bye.
Bye.